I think Justin Herbert has a real chance to vie for an MVP and get his team to a place. He could be the best quarterback in all the NFL after the season's over. How have you seen him develop this offseason? And camps just seems so much more simplified and easy for him this year. It just looks like he's in full control of everything he's got going on.
Definitely, you said it. I mean, he just kind of walks around with confidence, with poise, and why wouldn't you after the season he had? To see how he's kind of taking command of this offense. There's been a few times that at practice, some of the new additions maybe aren't running the right routes, aren't in the right places, and Justin has no problem telling them where they need to be and making sure that they don't make the same mistake twice. Watching him throw a football up close as often as I have now at training camp has been, I hate to sound corny, but a thing of beauty. I mean, this guy can put the ball anywhere. He always places it perfectly for his receivers, just out of the reach of the DBs. And his connection with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams appears to be really great. They added DeAndre Carter, who might be a guy who can make a breakaway down the field, mostly as a return specialist. But I think it's going to be interesting to watch him maybe in some plays on offense as well. But Justin Herbert has great command of his offense, and even his veteran center, Corey Linsley, said that where he used to have to make more suggestions to Justin as a young QB, Justin's kind of stepping in and knows the protections, knows what he's seeing across the line. So I think it's going to be a really exciting season for him. I
agree with you. I think he's ripe for taking over this league as the new face at the quarterback position. The changes on the defensive side of the football, I think, are what makes this team a real danger to a lot of other people because of the addition of Khalil Mack. I think a lot of people thought maybe because of the injuries in Chicago, the way they were willing to get rid of him with the trade, and then adding Jackson at the corner just makes this a team that is dangerous for a lot of people. And so speak to the defensive changes and how that's going to build this team back.
Yeah, Brandon Staley didn't mince words apparently this offseason, let them know we have a really good team, but we aren't good enough on defense to get where we need to go. So that's really where they made the significant upgrades this offseason, made a trade that I don't know historically that Tom Telesco would have made. They go pick up a free agent signing in J.C. Jackson, which is also very aggressive by the kind of previous Chargers way of doing things. Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, I don't know there's many people out there that wouldn't say that they're among the top pass rushing duos out there, even as Khalil Mack tries to come off that injury that limited him to 7 games last season. Those two guys have been really fun to watch throughout camp. I mean, they're always together, whether it's taking a knee on the sideline, whether it's just kind of going over things when they're going through position group drills. And Khalil Mack kind of described it to me what they have. I mean, he's a guy who just wants to get out after the quarterback no matter how possible. And Joey Bosa is a guy who he described more of a technician. He wants to get after the tackle in order to get to the quarterback. So he said they have really complementary styles but do it completely different. So they're both kind of learning some stuff from each other. And Joey, for his part, said to have a competitor like Khalil out there every day, it's making him that much better too.
Derwin James, right? Early in camp, the conversation is how the extension is going to go. If I'm not mistaken, there hasn't been an extension or a new contract there. He was doing the little hold-in part. What's the situation there, and where is the team at with Derwin James?
Yeah, you're definitely not mistaken. There's a hold-in situation. It has to be like the friendliest contract situation I've ever seen where the player's not actually out on the field. I mean, Derwin James is there every day. He goes through walkthrough, then he goes to another field, does some agility work, walks by reporters, says, hey, how's it going? He's out there with his teammates. So there's nothing kind of hostile about any of this, but he does not have a new contract in hand and isn't going to be out there practicing until he does. At the open of camp, everyone seemed pretty calm about it. Coaches, it's going to get done. As camp has worn on, there's, I believe, only 6 practices left, maybe 5, including joint practices coming up against the Cowboys. You kind of sense an increase in urgency, like, okay, we need to get this Derwin deal done. We have an entirely kind of new set of defensive personnel, and Derwin, as his teammate said, is really the heart of the defense and the heart of the team. And while practices have been pretty intense, I think that they are missing something out there. You can't help but think, well, who's the vocal guy? Who's the guy that's really amping this defense up, especially in the secondary? And it's Derwin James. So I think it's been a noticeable absence throughout training camp. And my sense is, in asking Brandon Staley about it daily, he's getting pretty eager, if not anxious, to get Derwin back out up there on the field.
When do you think, Lindsey, that this starts to become, a necessity? Like, we got to get this done. Are they just far apart on some things, or it seems like it's been kept pretty quiet too in terms of the negotiations? But what at some point do they say, hey, we have to move on this, or we're gonna ruin something that has a real good chance of being special this year?
Yeah, well, when you look at it, the Chargers, their first week of the season, that schedule's not for the faint of heart, right? They open against the Raiders, and then 5 days later on a Thursday night, they're going to go to Kansas City and get the Chiefs. So you probably would like to have Derwin available to practice at least for a full week, if not 2 full weeks. So we can obviously just kind of get his football legs under him, so to speak, and then get into the game planning, because they're going to be cramming to have 2 division matchups right off the bat. So if you're the Chargers, you're you're like just starting to feel anxious that you need to get this done. And kind of what I've been told about just Derwin and his character, he's probably a guy that at some point is going to say, like, let's just get this done. He loves football so much. Obviously, these guys all want to get paid, all deserve what they want on some degree. But from my understanding on how both sides are playing it will get done before the season. It's just a matter of whether Brandon Staley has Derwin out there enough to feel super confident about the game plan with 2 division opponents in 5 days.